Hi, everybody. We're back for the episode 3 of our Lion Fight Zoom chats. We are, of course, joined once again by Nathan Corbett, and Justin Kwan is our chieftain of all things technical. And we are excited to be joined on this edition by Lady Killface herself, Natalie Morgan, who has temporarily relocated on her way to permanently relocated to Philadelphia. Currently, she is listed as being from Los Angeles, but for her fight coming up February 12th, she'll be from Los Angeles as she takes on Candice Mitchell. Natalie, let's start with that fight coming up. It's been a long time. Everybody has been in shutdown mode, restart mode, shutdown, and all of this stuff during the pandemic. I'd like to kind of get, I know you and I talked earlier during this whole shutdown and everything, but can you give us an idea now of what your training is like coming out of all these different closures and things? Are you feeling like you're able to have a somewhat regular camp, or is it just totally different than ever before?
Yeah, no, it feels different in some ways, and it feels a lot the same in other ways. I'm still able to get as much training, good quality training. The only difference is my coach, Mark Camoro, he's 68. So we've been distance coaching. He's still my head coach. I send him a lot of sparring videos, a lot of pad work videos. But Yoshi Hisataka, he's been my second in command. So, Mark has the game plan. Me and Yoshi work on it. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So it's been like a distance coaching situation. He hasn't come back to the gym since March. He doesn't really leave much except to go hit balls at the golf course, but that's it. But yeah, no, I've had a really good solid camp. I'm excited. I mean, we still have three hard weeks left, and then it's fight week. So we still got a lot of time left. I'm excited.
And I know this is kind of the first opportunity that you've had to at least maybe not meet face to face, but at least have a chance to chat with Nathan Corbett. And I know Nathan wanted to take the opportunity to find out a little bit more about you and your fight style.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you, Natalie. Well, the first thing I have to ask is killer face, right? Come on, tell us about that story, because we all to our fight name. I think we never call ourselves our fight name. Someone has to come up with it and bring it to us. So please tell us about that, because for a female, it's quite brutal love.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
Scary name. Okay, so my third fight, I think I was still fighting as an amateur. Me and the girl, we get in the ring, we seal it. In my corner, she's in her corner. We walk to the center. The ref is reading us the rules. He's, I want a good clean fight. If there's a knockdown, I need you to go to the neutral corner, whatever. And I look over, and my opponent turns like as white as a sheet of paper. And I'm like, can she not hear him? It looked like she was leaning in. And all of a sudden, she just fainted. She fainted. And the ref catches her in his arms. It was like something out of a movie.
Wow.
What is happening? What is happening to me? I haven't really done this that many times. So I'm like, what, is she okay? Like, what's wrong with her? I was upset. I was worried. So that's kind of where that came from. Names were floating around a lot. People were calling me a Jedi, that I knocked people out before I even touched them. Things like that. So Killface came about after that, because there was a goofy episode on one of those like YouTube channels. Somebody did like a comedy sketch, and it's called The Killface. And basically this guy shows his students in his dojo that you can like knock somebody out or kill them just by staring at them a certain way. And then everybody was like, oh my God, you have the Killface. So that's where it came from.
That's unreal. I love that. Now, do you that's awesome. So kill face it is. I mean, so when you step into the ring, do you feel like there's a pressure to be Miss Kill Face? Because most of the time that I meet, the female fighters over the time, they're so sweet. They're so sweet. They become best friends with their opponent. But then when the bell rings, they just like, wow, they kill each other and they're smiling at each other after the fight again. It's an interesting thing, which I love. I really love female fighters. I love training them.
Yeah.
Such a great energy. So do you have to live up to the kill face, or is it just something that you go for and you're aggressive anyway?
I think I just go, it's just who I am. I just go for it. I'm aggressive. I've always been aggressive by nature. I'm Irish Italian. I'm aggressive. So yeah, I don't feel any pressure.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. So, when was your last fight? Because obviously with COVID, we've had a big break. So it's been a while since you've been in the ring.
Yeah, it's been almost a year and a half. Yes, because I think the last fight I had was 2019, and it was in October, I believe. It's been a while.
So itching.
Oh man, so badly. And actually, I tried that year, and I did not like it. And I was like, "Please get me back to Muay Thai, please." And then COVID hit.
So Natalie, I wanted to follow up a little bit on the whole lady kill face angle, because I've seen you come pretty close to killing somebody with that 2017 knockout of the year.
Oh yeah.
I know Justin will find that for us to see at some point, but I mean, is not that it's pressure to follow that up, but do you think that more often you're one of the fewer female fighters who does look for a knockout? Because I think sometimes that's frustrating for fans, is that maybe the female fighters are so highly skilled, they're very technical, that they sometimes don't feel the need to look for a finish. But I think you're the opposite.
I agree with that. I think I am the opposite. I always make jokes about myself because I'm like, I may not be pretty, but I get the job done. I work on technique, but I do think that I think there's a lot of pressure for females too, because they do want to look good. We're a little behind in the sport. So, we do feel a pressure to look technical. We want to look nice. We don't want to look sloppy and brawly all the time. So I do think there is a pressure for that, but I agree with you. I try and work on my technique, but the aggression is always there. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, can I say, to back that up, I mean, that's why I love watching them so much, because they just go in there and they scrap it. Like, technically, you are technical, and a lot of great women fighters we have now, but I just love the energy. It's just like, let's get this on. Let's get it done. Like you said before, I get the job done, and that to me is exciting.
Yeah. No, I love watching women fights. I've always loved watching women fight. I think it's so exciting. I think, there's some great men fighters. I love watching men fight too, but I do think that I get really excited. I tend to follow more women fighters. Yeah.
Well, our CEO, Scott Kent, he's a massive fan of having the female fighters on, trying to have one on every show that we have. So Lion Fight's a big fan of the female competition, and we push it really hard.
That's great. I love that. We need more of that.
And Natalie, I wanted to also ask you about the upcoming fight on February the 12th on UFC Fight Pass, with you taking on Candice Mitchell. Without giving away too much of your strategy, is there something that you feel you have an advantage over her on, or in particular that you want to work on in preparation for facing her?
Yes. We have had a very specific game plan, but that being said, I have fought taller girls before, so it's similar to the same game plan as I've had with those girls. I do think that I have an advantage over her in terms of speed. Yeah, definitely speed. She's a strong girl, and I know she's got a lot of power. But I don't know if she can handle my pressure.
Okay. Well, I think this stacks up pretty well. As I think the two of you are a really good matchup to face each other. You're both roughly the same size and build and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's going to be a really fascinating fight. And like Nathan said, it's an order from the top with Lion Fight that we have a prominent, female fight on every main card, especially moving forward on UFC Fight Pass. And you have the distinction of being the first female fight on Lion Fight on UFC Fight Pass. So I think it's a big coup for you and Candice to have that spot. And I think, like Justin and Nathan, we're looking forward to this fight.
Thank you. I'm excited to be part of that. I mean, part of history, right? Women's Muay Thai history. I think it's
absolutely.
I'm honored.
Well, we will let you go for tonight. We will see you in a couple of weeks in Wyoming. I'm looking forward to seeing Natalie Morgan versus Candice Mitchell, Lion Fight 63 on UFC Fight Pass. Natalie, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Nathan wanted to follow up with you on that conversation we had with Natalie Morgan, and you brought up a great point about the prominence of female fighters on Lion Fight. You know, I think this is a huge matchup really between Natalie and Candice. For those of you that aren't familiar with Candice, she had that opportunity and fought for the Lion Fight North American Super Bantamweight title against Whitney Tobin. Whitney won that fight. And I think obviously, you know, there's potential there. If Candice beats Natalie, perhaps we see Candice and Whitney again. Obviously, if Natalie wins, I think that's the matchup that we look for in the fall is the return of Whitney Tobin against Natalie Morgan. I think it shapes up really well in that division.
Yeah, it's a really looking shape up like a beautifully strong division there. And, you know, as we saw, you know, well, obviously commentated back in Albuquerque, Candice, and as she is a taller opponent, she used her range pretty well. She loves her teep kicks and push kicks and long range moves. So can the killer face, you know, come in there and create some carnage? We'll see. But she seems excited. She seems certainly pumped up to be involved with Lion Fight. And like we said earlier, you know, it's just great to be able to, you know, start our year off, you know, with the UFC Fight Pass, and of course, having another female division on there shining.
Well, and you know, as we get going into the year, I mean, our second fight card in Kansas, you know, we've got a pretty stylish fight between Crystal Van Wyck and Andy Wynn, and then we get back to Wyoming again in April with two fights, including a big showdown between Taylor McClatchy and. We have Taylor McClatchy against Angela Whitley for a North American title on that card. So I think just that trend continues on these first three events. And then when we get into the middle part of the year, we have the world title fights, Amy Pierney, Lisa Brierley. So, I mean, I think it's just onward and upward when it comes to Lion Fight's female fighters.
Onward and upward, you know. We have obviously a world champion, Amy Pierney, there over in, you know, in Scotland, Glasgow, and of course, you know, we've had champions, you know, like Lomini on our cards before. So we just really are, you know, showcasing, you know, the best female fighters, and of course, bringing up, you know, a new generation of female fighters as well. So Lion Fight is where it's at.
Yeah, a ton of new female fighters coming in. Nima Kinahan, Becky Caslin, both real big up and coming stars from the UK. Kim Townsend from Australia. So, I mean, you know, it just keeps coming in waves with these new female fighters. And that sort of brings us to the question that we kind of toss back and forth, or that we get asked to ask you is, do you find, we kind of mentioned it with Natalie, do you find that female fighters sometimes don't have the edge or that maybe killer desire to finish a fight, and that we need to find more fighters like Natalie that do believe that they have to look for a finish when it's there?
I mean, I'm always a huge advocate for fighters that want to finish fights. You know, that's what I did the best in my fight career. That's what I'm known for. And so therefore, I'm always looking for the same energy or the same character in another person. And so I'm always pushing for those kind of fighters to raise up. You know, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the excitement. I mean, the one thing is that they never at least take a backward step. Let's just say that. Yeah. So obviously some have the ability, you know, with the power to finish people. Some don't have the ability to finish people with maybe a lack of power. But like I said, you know, the more that we can give them the opportunity to shine, the more we're going to sort out the weak from the strong, and we're going to bring those knockout, you know, female fighters to the front line, and we're going to see a lot more of this over the next 12 months.
I think it's going to be really exciting. There's just all these new faces that are coming along amongst the female fighters. I think it just has stacked those divisions from say about 108 to 130, 35 pounds. There's a lot of new talent in there. I think it's going to be a whole new vision of female fighters within line fight.
That's right. And you got to remember, you got to go back in history. You know, they're kind of behind in the sense that they weren't allowed to fight Thai boxing in Thailand for a long time. So it's been, you know, obviously a long time now since they have been allowed, but they've always been suppressed from the beginning. So therefore, they're starting to rise up. They're starting to be. It's okay for a lady to punch someone in the face and still, you know, be accepted. Versus, you know, oh, you're supposed to be, you know, being, you know, nurturing and you know, soft and stuff like that. No, the women are allowed to come to the front and they're allowed to get in there and fight and be strong. Now it's showcased. We've got fighters in time. The UFC weren't even putting on female fighters for a long time, and they finally stepped into the allowing the females to shine and get on the radar. Which now you can see they're pumping female fighters. And just like we're doing, we're every show, like Scott Kent says, you know, we want females on our show. We appreciate them, we respect them, we love them. We want to make them, give them an opportunity to become, you know, as big as the male fighters. So, like I said, you know, it's just exciting times ahead for them. They've now got the opportunity, the platform, the positioning now to get themselves better. They can obviously get more sponsorships, and they're going to be seen on TV. So it's just feeding. So the future is bright, both for females and males, of course, but we're talking females right now. The future is bright. So all those females out there that are wanting to fight, thinking about fighting, jump in. The future is growing. The future is bright. This COVID thing, we'll sort that out eventually and soon enough, and we'll be back to living a normal life where we're traveling, we're doing big shows, more shows. So get ready, get excited, get online, fight, and let's do this.
And I was going to add into one thing that I like about the female fighters is they are far less shy than their male counterparts when it comes to social media and Zoom chats and, you know, the walkouts and really building their aura about them. You know, you look at Natalie and Regan Gowing and Andy Wynn and a lot of these fighters, and they're much more anxious or are much more eager to do the interviews and talk about themselves than their male counterparts. And I think that's one of the real big selling points for female fighters.
That's exactly right, Scott. You know, because there had been, you know, whether they have known about it, but it has been that suppression from the past. So now they're here. They're just feeling so blessed and so excited. They have so much gratitude. And they have so much gratitude that they actually get the opportunity to fight, to be on a runway, to be on a stage, to be in the spotlights, to get interviewed, to be on camera, to be on the end of a microphone at the end of the fight when they win, to get a belt strapped around their waist. There's so much gratitude for them just to be in this sport of Muay Thai, just to be in that ring competing, that they're just amazing, you know, human beings and just so good to work with. And that's why we keep saying it, but Lion Fight will be working with them so much and so more and more and more and more as the future grows.
And I know you and our fans are going to be really intrigued to meet Taylor McClatchy and Angela Whitley when it comes to their turn to be in the ring in April, because they're two exceptional fighters, but two unbelievable individuals, which is how much they have taken their sport, but yet combine that with all the academics and their working careers that they've put together. It's going to be a really interesting tale for both of them to tell. And I can't wait to tell that story as we get closer to the April card. But for now, we are focused on the February 12th card in Kansas, Lion Fight 63, our debut event on UFC Fight Pass. This has been our third episode of Lion Fight Zoom Chats. We will continue again next week and take another look at that fight card as we get closer to the debut on UFC Fight Pass. Nathan, thanks again for this. Justin, as always, a great job, and we will see you again in a week.